Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the scheduled and tribal areas, right? This is the topic on which we have been discussing right now, the scheduled and the tribal areas, right? Within this particular series of the scheduled and the tribal areas, okay? Within this particular series, these all are the topics that we had scheduled for the discussion, like starting with the introduction part, thereafter the scheduled areas in India, an overview of it, then the criteria for identification of scheduled areas, then the constitutional provisions and the governance, then concerns that are related to the scheduled areas, then the administration of the scheduled areas, then the scheduled tribes, then the general concerns of the tribal community, then addressing the challenges, then significance of the indigenous communities, okay, then the problems are being faced by the tribal groups, then the conclusion, then the administration of the tribal areas. Okay, so this is the these are the topics that we had scheduled. If we talk about the topics that we have covered so far, so basically we have done with the introduction part, we have done with the scheduled areas in India, an overview of it. We have done with the criteria for identification of scheduled areas. We have done with the constitutional provisions and the governance. We have done with the concerns related to the scheduled areas. And we have done with the administration of scheduled areas. Okay, these are the topics we have completed. If we talk about the topic on which we are discussing right now, so that is the scheduled tribe. Okay, this is the topic we have been discussing. If we talk about the topics that we are left with, these are the general concerns of the tribal community, addressing the challenges, significance of the indigenous communities, problems faced by the tribal groups, conclusion, and the administration of the tribal areas. Okay, so this is the picture that we have created so far altogether. All right. Okay, so let's start. So basically these are the factors that influencing the tribal growth, and we had completed them in the previous lecture. Okay, but here I'm going to ask you one simple question. All right, which article of the Indian Constitution deals with the scheduled area? Again, I'm repeating the question. Which article of the Indian Constitution deals with the scheduled area? To answer this, you will have 30 seconds. Time starts now. Just think about it. Since the starting, we have discussed this thing many times, so I'm expecting the right answer from all of you. You could not afford to give wrong answer by yourself also. 20 seconds have been passed. Last 10 seconds are remaining. Okay. All right, the time is going to be up and the time's up. So the correct answer is Article 244 of the Indian Constitution basically deals with the scheduled area. Article 244 of the Indian Constitution deals with the scheduled area, right? The next question that I'm going to ask you is that which article of the Indian Constitution empowers the President of India to declare any tribe as a scheduled tribe? Again, I'm repeating the question. Which article of the Indian Constitution empowers the President to declare any tribe as a scheduled tribe? To answer this question, again, you will have 30 seconds. Time starts now. Ten seconds have been passed off. Last 20s are remaining. Just think about it. Last 10 seconds are there. Okay, the time is going to be up and the time's up. The correct answer is Article 342. Article 342 of the Indian Constitution basically empowers the President of India to declare any tribe as a scheduled tribe. So basically there are two articles. Article 244 is deals with the scheduled areas. Okay. And scheduled areas are those areas which having their mention in the 5th schedule and the 6th schedule. Okay. While the another one, that was the Article 342. Basically, Article 342 deals with the power of President to declare any tribe as a scheduled tribe. Okay. So please remember these two articles. So basically, okay, there's another question that I would ask you. Like if we mentioned about the President, okay. So which article of the Indian Constitution empowers the President to make the ordinances? To answer this question again, you will have the 30 seconds. Time starts now. Just think about it. All right. This is also what we have covered already. So this is not going to be asked from somewhere else. Okay. That is going to be asked from the syllabus that we have covered so far. All right. The 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20s are remaining. Think faster. The time is going up. Then I will give you the answer. Please try not to give the wrong answer. All right. 10 seconds are left only. Just think about it. All right, the time is going to be up and the time's up. Correct answer is Article 123 of the Indian Constitution. We know basically the legislative powers for making the rules and regulations and various kind of legislations and laws rested with the Parliament, but the Parliament only having the 3 sessions in the year: the budget session, monsoon session, winter session. Budget session from Feb to May, monsoon session from you can say July to September, and winter session from November to December. Okay. And if the Parliament is not in the session, an urgent emergency occurs which requires the immediate passing of the legislation. In such a case, the President could formulate an ordinances. Okay. And once the Parliament will be again in the session, then Parliament will have 6 months to approve the ordinance of the President. If Parliament approves it, then it would be a law. If not, then that will be declared as a null and void within the 6 months. Okay, that was the thing. So the factors that we had discussed was the improved healthcare, education, okay, infrastructure development, and the migration, right? That is what we have discussed. Basically, when we were discussing the healthcare, we had discussed the mortality rates, and what we had discussed in it, we have come to know about that basically the mortality rates indicates a number of people that have been died because of the defined cause. Because of the defined cause, it means their cause of death must be well defined. Infant mortality rates basically we use for the childs. Okay, that was a thing. Now let's move forward. So the topic that we are discussing is the scheduled tribes. Okay. And now we are going to discuss about the challenges and the opportunities. Challenges and the opportunities. Okay. So if we talk about the increasing tribal population, so basically it presents both the challenges and the opportunities for India. Like we know, basically everything, if we talk about it, everything has some pros and cons. Okay. Advantages and disadvantages, you can say, and merits and demerits. Everything has this kind of thing. Okay. So when we talk about the increasing tribal population, when we are talking about it, all right. So basically the challenges and the opportunities also existed with this thing. Okay. If we talk about them one by one, then we must start with the challenge first. Like what are the challenges they are facing? This including access to the basic amenities, healthcare, education for the tribal population, as well as preserving the unique cultural heritage. Now, basically, if we talk about the general sense, if we talk about the general, just right now, we just forget about the tribals and the schedules we are talking about. Just take it as normal or as usual in the form. So basically, when we talk about the resources that we have, And these are not only the natural resources, even the man-made resources, because these resources are interconnected. These sources are not separate, but they interconnected. Okay, like if we talk about the natural resources, like the petroleum, okay, like the gas, all right, like the water resources, like the forest and all that, all we have got. So these resources basically requires the manpower to use them. For example, you could not use the raw petroleum for your vehicles. Okay, you must have refined it, then only you could use it, and once you refined it, that it would become a petrol or diesel. Similarly, the natural gases that you are getting, is it possible that you just going to the hole or some mining area from where the natural gas was found, then you put your gas cylinder, then you put some kind of other thing, and then you're extracting the gas and using it directly? Is it possible? No, it is not possible. Okay, so it means the refining and the processing of these natural resources requires the manpower, right? Similarly, if we talk about the water resources that we have got, basically these water resources could be used when the manpower is required. All right, like you could not directly go to the riverside and fill the bucket that you have, fill the cup that you have, and start drinking water. However, you can do it when you are living nearby in the area. But assume yourself that you are living 10 kilometers far from the riverbank. Is it possible that you will go for each and everything, or you can say each and every water resource or water usage to that river, and then you will fill it up? Quite impossible. So it requires the manpower to lay down the water pipes and other kind of water pressure tanks so that the water could reach you. Same with the forest. You could not directly use the forest. Okay, and forest will not come to your home to feed you. You require the manpower to go and cut down the trees, gather the fruits and all, processing them, and then they come to the market from where you purchase them and use them. Similarly, if we talk about the man-made resources, then these are also dependent on the natural resources. For example, suppose if you are building some mansion or house, okay, if you are doing some construction, you can say. So what things you are required? You require the iron, okay, to making a beam and all. So from where this iron is coming? From the iron mining sites, natural resource. You required some sand, okay, and Hindi you call reta. I don't know what we call it in the regional language, okay, but this is also comes from the riverbank. Riverbank, natural resources. The water you are using during the construction, okay, so that you could settling down the cement and all. Water is the natural resources. So by these examples, you could easily understand that these resources are not unique or not independent. These are integrated and interdependent resources. Got it? So basically, these resources, either these are the natural, or these are the man-made. All these resources are limited in number. This could not be unlimited. Nothing can be unlimited, you can say. No resource is available on this earth in the unlimited form. So basically the resources are limited, and as per their number of availability, as per their presence, they could be distributed and could be used effectively and efficiently by the population that is living in. Okay. For example, you can say if you have the water receiver, okay, if you will have the water receiver that can feed up to 100 men, for example, if you have a water receiver that could feed up to the 100 men, then if you are 10, if you are the 10 men, you could use it properly. There will be no issue. But if you start growing, then still there is a no issue until or unless you crosses the 100th number. Okay, even if you are 100, even if you are 99, then still you can use it effectively. But once you become out of the capacity, like now you are 150 man, 110 man, 120 man, then what is going on? Basically, you are pressuring the resource that you have. Why? Because the resource is only having the capacity to feed up to the 100 men. And now how many you have become? 150. You have crossed that line. You have crossed that margin, right? So this is the thing. And even if you take the example of man-made resources, for example, suppose you have settled a colony. that colony is having the capacity to accommodate the 100 families. As per this, the colony having the open space, the park, okay, the other kind of amenities. All right. So when the families are within the number of the capacity or even up to the number of the capacity. What I'm saying, within the capacity or up to the number of capacity, which means suppose if the capacity is of 100 household or 100 families, the members are just only, you can say, families are 10, 20, 25, 30, this under the number, under the capacity. Still the things will be in your favor. But once it reaches the 100th family, still the things will be in favor. Why? Because it is matching with the capacity, or you can say that will be an optimum usage. But once it crosses the number of 100th family, then what will happen? The colony that you have built, the park, the resources that you have provided there, these would be under pressure. Why? Because now the number is crossing the limit. Okay, so that's how the rising in population basically pushes a pressure on the resources, on the things that we have, either natural or man-made. Similar kind of things basically facing by the tribal population. Like you can say, when we provide them the basic amenities, okay, like the you can say household amenities like the toilets, okay, like the gas connections and all, even the community like the park, like the other kind of things. So basically these are the things, even the healthcare like the hospitals and all, education, okay. So basically all these things are provided with some limitation. It means that you could not provide them unlimited. This is the limited thing, okay. Like if you try to provide the park, if you try to provide the public toilets and all, so these were having the capacity to accommodate the people at a single time. Even if we talk about the hospitals and the healthcare, so basically the hospitals could not accommodate unlimited patients. They have the limitation, and these limitations are basically, you can say, defined through the number of beds they have. Like if we say there is a hospital or district hospital in your city, okay, which having the 100 beds capacity. What is the meaning of this? One bed is equal to the one patient, okay. So it means at a single time it could accommodate the 100 patient cases at a single time. All right. But if the number of patients crossing the capacity, it means instead of 100, the number of patients reaching 150, 200, 300, this one, then what will happen? Healthcare facilities limited, number of beds are limited. What will happen? There will be a condition of under pressure or the accommodation. All right. Similarly with the education. If we talk about the education, so you can say education, what is the education? Education should be unlimited. Okay. If 10 students are getting the education, 20 will also get, 30 will also get. The more will get, the more will you benefit. That could be your opinion. And I'm totally agree with this. I'm not disagree with this opinion. I'm totally agree with this, but up to some extent. Why? Because no one is eligible to get the education by himself. Assume yourself, you are watching this video. Why? Because you are not getting the things by yourself only. Okay? Because if you will try to do it, then you will take more and more years. Why? Because first you have to understand the concept, then only you will be able to grasp it. Why you are listening this lecture? Why you are watching this lecture? Because you know that I am the someone who already know the concept and I could explain it. So that you will just have to listen and grab the facts. You are not required to read the things, find out the facts, then differentiate what is important, what is less important, and then grasp the facts, because that will be a long process, that will be a time consuming process. Okay. So similar things also applicable in the tribal population. If the education facilities are being provided for their children, for their households, okay, so basically the number of schools are limited, the capacity to holding the students is limited, the capacity of teachers are limited, okay, all things are limited. So that's how, if the population is growing rapidly, so basically these resources are under pressure. Why? because the number of these resources are not increasing. For example, we can say if there is a district hospital at your city which is having the capacity of 100 people or 100 bed. Okay, if the population is 100, everything is fine. If the population is crossing the hundreds, the things are under pressure. But if once the population is crossing the number, another hospital is being provided, okay, with the capacity of 100 bed again, then there will be a problem? No, because the excess amount of patients that were reaching the district hospital, that would be redirected to the new hospital, right? Similarly, if there is a two schools which having the capacity to accommodate the 50,000 students, and if there are 1 lakh students, the thing will be fine. 50 will be there, 50 will be there. But once the number of students reaches the 2 lakh and only two schools are there, what will happen? The education will not be provided properly. Why? Because the education resource is under the pressure. But if two more schools are open, okay, then what will happen? 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, 50,000. The number of students will be distributed accordingly. Okay, so this is the thing. Thereafter, the unique cultural heritage. What is the issue with this? So when the population is limited, then everything could be preserved well. Why? Because the resources are not under the pressure, because the opportunities are available for all of them. For example, suppose if there is any tribal village that is having the 100 people capacity, okay, or 100 families capacity. So all the tradition, all the culture they are performing, they are having, okay, they are having in this village. When the population of that village or the population of families in that village is within the capacity or up to the capacity of 100 families, all of them will have the opportunity to live their life as usual while preserving their cultural heritage. But once the population is growing rapidly, once the population is crossing the limit, then what will happen? The people will not get an adequate chance, okay, for their survival, for their things and all. Then what will happen? They will start moving here and there, okay. And you can say basically what they will do, they will migrate from one place to another in search of opportunities, in search of things. And as we had discussed, whenever there will be an internal migration and there will be a change of cultural identity. So basically our main aim behind the preservance of the scheduled and the tribal areas is not going to be fulfilled at anyhow. Why? Because once the people who has to migrate from one place to another, just because of the lack of opportunities they are getting, lack of resources they are getting at the place where they are living in, then what will happen? The new place there will be go. They could not be able to preserve their unique cultural heritage as they were allowed to do it at their villages. Okay, then basically, willingly or not willingly, they were forced to get adopted to the new sitting culture or the mainstream culture, okay, and their cultural heritage would be lost. And why I said that this is the, you can say, the violation of the rights or violation of the aim that we have behind the scheduled and tribal areas. Why I'm saying? Because there is a quite reason. What is the reason? Because the people who were messing with these things, okay, who were assuming these things, basically we want them to get indulged or to get benefited with the growing, you can say, strength of the country, with the growing power of the country, but we do not want them to lose their unique cultural heritage. Okay, if they will come to the city area, definitely they will grow. But what will happen? Their unique cultural heritage will be gone. That is not in our aim. After discussing the challenges, if we talk about the opportunities that they have, so we can say harnessing the potential of tribal communities in areas for the sustainable development. It means that if they will have a sufficient population and if they will have the significant population, then what will happen? First, they will be declared as a scheduled area. The benefit they will get. Why? Because as I have told you Basically, the government follows the criteria while declaring any area as a scheduled and tribal area. What is that criteria? The population percentage threshold. I'm repeating, the population percentage threshold. All right. So if the population will grow, definitely they will cross that threshold. And once the threshold will cross, then automatically through the defined procedure that I have told you, from state government to union government to president, president to governor, and then the final declaration. All the steps will be followed and the area would be declared as a scheduled area. And once it will be declared as a scheduled area, then what will happen? All these special provisions and other kind of things will be applicable to them. And as we know, if the tribal population is living there, scheduled tribal population is also living there, but they are not crossing the proper threshold, population percentage threshold, then they will not be considered what? They won't be considered as an scheduled area. And the rights, the special attention, all the kind of perseverance will not be applicable for them. All right. So first thing, if their population will grow, automatically they will cross the threshold and they would be included as an scheduled and tribal area. Thereafter, the conservation of biodiversity. The more people they will have, the more human resource they will have to preserve their culture, to preserve the biodiversity and the forest in which they are living in. And when they will have the more man power, then what will happen? They will promote themselves for the tourism and all, and that will be declared as a cultural tourism. Okay. So these are the challenges and opportunities that are applicable or available with the scheduled tribes. Okay. So students, basically in this lecture, we have finished till here. In the next lecture, we will continue from here. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture. Be ready for the next lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.